Good evening, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. This is episode 8 of season 2 of the Dead Money with Dan Arfin podcast. Sorry, it's been a little while, guys, or that is, I've been sort of consistently making episodes a little bit more slowly this season. You know, with all the rollicking success we had last year, there's just so many women, trying to, get after it with me, and it's just like, dude, I have one fucking dick here. Anyway, Brent Jenkins. If you remember Brent Jenkins from season 1, one of our special guests, I think he was our second guest. He is back. Brent Jenkins is back for his second appearance. Along with Mike Zulker, he is now making his second appearance, and this is sort of a last-minute invitation because, wow, Brent has a story for you all, people. And it's kind of horrifying. It's crazy. It's one of the craziest things I've heard going on in public poker games, so let's just stop hyping it up and let's talk to him right now. Brent, welcome back to the Dead Money Studios.
Well, thanks, Dan. Good to be back in this really expensive studio space you've rented out to record the podcast in. High-end equipment here. I'm just intimidated to be part of it again, but honored to join the ranks of the multi-time guest with Zulker. I hope I can beat him for the all-time record when it's all said and done.
Well, he's also pretty intimidated by the setup of this studio, and so I don't know, it could be close between the two of you.
Also, you mentioned having only one dick. A fun fact I learned today, male snakes have 2 dicks. So there's something for your audience.
Where? But what do they do with them?
Well, okay, I don't know how these things work. Maybe that's, you can go down that rabbit hole later if you're interested, but just a little teaser animal fact.
I mean, boy, go figure, huh? The animal that's like, slithers on the ground. You can't even see one of his dicks, never mind both of them.
Yeah, I don't know where they keep those things, but they're in there somewhere.
Well, speaking of snakes, so Brent, start us from the top because I know you had a little trouble this weekend. So why don't you just tell us what happened?
All right, well, I'm playing at the Venetian in the 2-3 game, actually, and I get involved in a hand where I have aces. I raise, I believe I'm in the hijack, and my villain in the hand is this woman of Asian descent, probably 50 years old or so. She calls on the button, and we're heads up. And honestly, I can't even remember the actual hand itself that well. I know we had a queen high flop. I can't remember if I bet and she called or if I check raised. But anyhow, I know that on the flop, or maybe even pre-flop, I was, as one should do when they're locked in and trying to play good poker, you size up your opponent's stack, because that's very relevant information. How deep are we? What sorts of bet sizes should I plan if we're trying to escalate to an all-in, which you often will be when you have aces. So I look over at her stack, and after the money went in on the flop, however that went in, which again, I can't even exactly remember, I saw that she had roughly like $250, mostly in the form of red chips, but there was one single black chip on the bottom of her stack. And okay, so action completes on the flop. We go to the turn, which I don't even remember the card, some kind of blank card. It was a card I was happy to want to get it in here with aces. And we're heads up and the action's on me. And while the action's on me, I see her excitedly grab all her chips with like both her hands and seems like very eager to put her money in, which was a little odd, but also kind of funny to me as someone who's, has a lot of experience. What I immediately thought was, okay, this is an angle. She's trying to get me to check. She's trying to induce a check so that she can now check behind with whatever she has. But, I don't want her to check behind. I want us to get it in here on this street when I have aces. So I'm not going to fall for that trick, so I was going to jam anyway, but I thought that it was funny that she was trying to angle me into a check. And so I do end up jamming, and she calls. And then the river, I don't even remember what the card is. I table my aces, and she tables a hand that was... Okay, there was 2 hearts on the flop. There was a front door flush draw. She tables a hand. It was either just a missed naked flush draw, or maybe she had a pair and a flush draw. But whatever it was, it could not beat my aces. And so I win the pot. Yay! But as I'm like looking at the pot that's being pushed to me, I'm like, where's this black chip? There's not a single black chip in the pot. And so obvious first thought is like, okay, this lady's trying to get one over on me here. She's pulling a little... She's a cheater. She's removing chips from the table. So I instantly called it out. I was like, hold up now. She had a black chip. She definitely had a black chip. Where's that black chip? And the dealer seemed on board with what I was saying, but I can't be certain if the dealer was truly locked in. Like if the dealer would have caught this on her own, or if it needed me speaking up. But anyway, the dealer did have my back, which I appreciated. But the lady in question, the villain in the hand, she started like acting really confused and like playing dumb. Like, what? Black chip? What are you... It's like she like tried to pretend like she didn't know what I was talking about. And then she... I don't even think she speaks good English, by the way. Not that I tried like talking to her directly or making her say anything. I was basically just calling out like to the dealer mostly what I was seeing. I wasn't trying to argue with her specifically. I'm just like calling balls and strikes as they're happening, you know, like wait, what's going on here? There was a black chip. I don't see it. Where is it? And then so this lady was playing dumb, and then she starts like stooping down and looking on the ground. And then she, oh, what do you know? She rises up from looking around on the ground with a black chip, like, oh, here it is. I must have dropped it on the ground, right? And in the moment, it crossed my mind to be like, oh, okay, well, oh, fair enough, honest mistake, you know? But then, like, the longer I think about it, I'm like, no. This was her just trying to play it off after the fact once she realized she was being caught in the act. And so, anyway, what happened, she ended up putting the chip in the pot, and she kind of, you know, she just got stacked, and she kind of runs off after the hand, like, just leaves the room. We called the floor over. And I appreciate the dealer who kind of took the lead on calling the floor over to explain the situation. Even though the villain in the hand, this lady, was already gone, the floor did, you know, say they were going to look at the tape and everything. So, but yeah, so the point of the story is I caught someone trying to go south on me in the middle of a hand when they were losing and all in, trying to remove chips from their stack. Now, I can't be certain when that chip came off the table. I don't know if it was as she was... I imagine she waited till the river card, and then if she had won the hand, that chip would have been in there, but it's not like I was watching her as I was watching the river, so I feel like she was palming all the chips still when the river card came out, and then I'm doing like a motion here like your audience can see, but just imagine someone, you know, forcing all the chips in, and then sort of leaving their hands on the chips as the river card comes out, and then maybe just withdrawing the hand, holding the black chip, I don't know. If she's if this is like a regular trick for her, I imagine that's roughly how she does it. But anyway, so it was kind of satisfying to catch someone in the act. And then the next day, I come into the Venetian and I find out that this lady tried to come back again the next morning and got escorted from the property and told she's no longer welcome there, which I was ecstatic about. To be perfectly honest, I'm so jaded, I didn't think they were going to do anything. I'm just worried about covering my own ass, you know, as everyone needs to be ultimately in this game. So, but shout out to the Venetian for like actually following through, looking at the camera, making a note, and following through the next day and like protecting their players. That's really great, you know. Prior to this incident, I would have thought the only room that would handle it like that is the Wynn. But so now I got a lot more respect for the staff at Venetian too and all that, but...
So the cameras were checked, but not while you were there playing?
Well, the cameras were checked, but I wasn't even at that table for very long. Eventually I get called for the other game I'm trying to play, and I move to the 3-5, and the lady in question was gone, so I never heard anything more about it for the rest of that session. It's the next day that I came in that I found out.
Well, it sounds like then that they reviewed the tapes and found out that she somehow intentionally took that chip off the table, and then when you call it out, then, you know, as her backup plan to make sure she doesn't get caught, she says, all right, oh, I dropped it, my bad, here you go, and then thinks she can move on and try this some other time and maybe get away with it then. But what I'm wondering is, if she had won, then she's also going to get $100 less when being paid off. You know, she can't just double up and then pull money off of the ground and then claim it was hers. I mean, maybe she would make some big fuss about it and get the floor involved so that they do let her get the entire double up. I mean, whatever it is, that's really crazy. So they 86 her, huh?
Yeah, and I don't know for how long, or if it's a short-term thing.
86 is permanent. You ain't coming back. 86 means you're...
Maybe I'm misusing that term then, because I don't know I can't remember if the floor told me used that word exactly when they told me what the follow-up was, you know?
Okay.
Or maybe I'm throwing the word 86 in there when that was never said, but at least that day, that lady was told not to come back. Hopefully it's a lifetime thing. But, so about the getting paid less when you're all in... So, again, I don't know when she palmed this chip. It could have been that she had the ability to withdraw the chip as the river card was coming out and saw that she missed and was losing. Or it is also conceivable you would remove it beforehand as you're putting the chips in. Like, especially if you're calling all in with a naked flush draw with one card to come, yeah, you're usually going to lose there. So you would have interest in, like, if you're going to call off anyway to... have a smaller stack that you're losing, I guess. I don't know. Wild situation.
So everybody, Brent tells me about this story a few days ago. I think it was Friday afternoon. He just sent me a few text messages about it. And all he said was it was an Asian person. He hadn't specified it was a woman yet. And then I go to the Wynn at nighttime. And I guess within a couple hours, this Asian woman sits down a couple seats to my left. Older woman. This woman is probably in her 60s. Maybe even older, because Asians tend to look a lot younger than they are. But either way, she just seemed like, you know, what I tend to expect from a lot of Asian women who play, which is this very, very nitty player. And I promptly hero folded a set to her on the fucking river with a club blocker. Combo draw, both of them got there. I mean, I just gave her credit, and she just looks at her cards and mucks. So... only she knows if she bluffed. My guess is probably not. But either way, then all of a sudden, there's another Asian fellow sitting to her left, and he's a young man, and they're speaking to each other in English. And they both have, you know, like kind of heavy Asian accents. So it was a little maybe even surprising that they weren't communicating in a foreign language unless they don't speak the same language, of course. But this woman starts telling a story to this guy saying that she... was kicked out of the Venetian because of a $100 chip that fell on the floor that in the middle of a hand, and they're saying that she took it off the table, and she's just playing her fiddle, voluntarily bringing this up to the guy sitting next to her, playing her fiddle of what a victim she is. And as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, this sounds a hell of a lot like the story Brent just told me a few fucking hours ago. So I quickly and carefully snap a little photo of her, and I sent it to Brent. I was like, this is her, right? This is the fucking person who stole it? He's like, yeah. And oh my God. I mean, as I continued to play with this person, she was a lot of action and was talking about, or was doing some of the things you said before, where it's my turn to bet and she's cutting out all these chips, making it look like she's going to bet, trying to induce a check. And I don't check because I realize, hey, I think she's inducing a check because now I know this person is a cheater. I decide not to say anything. I don't say anything to anybody. I probably should have told the floor right away, but I didn't say anything to anybody. And I thought about saying something to her, but I thought, no, just leave that alone. Use this information against her. So it was just amazing to have heard that this happened a few hours before and now come across this person. So the game goes on, and she's starting to tilt a little bit because she's starting to spew. She's got a lot of money in front of her. Then I won a couple of hands against her. And then again to a single raise pot where there's a raise and a call. I call the button with pocket nines. She calls. I thought about 3-betting, but I wanted to let her in on the blinds. And I had pocket fives. And the flop comes ace, king, 5. And it checks over to me. I bet 50, I think. Maybe it was only 3 ways. I mean, whatever it was, she check raised to like 125. All right, 3-bet to 330. She calls. The turn is an 8. Total brick. Finally, a clean card. She check shoves ace-jack on ace-king 5-8, drawing dead. This was like a 4K pot. And I hit quads on the river for good measure. How about that?
Wow. Well, that sounds like some sweet justice there. You can't just bounce to the casino next door without facing some kind of cosmic punishment.
I mean,
So,
it was just unbelievable.
You got to be the beneficiary there.
It's just unbelievable that the timing of all this had happened. But I'm just left wondering, why is this person bringing this story up to somebody else to just like, you don't have to tell anybody about this. And it's like, I was wondering, I was like, is there even a 1% chance, less than 1% chance, that this was all an innocent mistake? And I don't think so, because in playing with her the next day, then I come back and she's there again. She was there at nighttime, stacks off, comes back the next day. And she was making comments to other people like, oh, he always wins against me. He always wins against me. And she's getting really tilted. And then there was another incident where like she wasn't supposed to be dealt in on the button, but somehow she was and nobody noticed. I mean, it's just... Then she tried to slow roll me. She raises the button. I 3-bet her with aces. She 4-bets. I 5-bet all in. She pushes all her chips into the middle. And I'm just like watching extra closely to make sure nothing shady happens. So she calls all in. And then she asks me, do you have aces? And I don't answer her. The flop comes all low cards, all hearts. I have a heart. Turns a heart. I have a flush. So I turn over aces. You know what she turns over? Aces. She tried to slow roll me with aces by asking me if I had aces when she had aces, but I did have aces, and then I flushed her on the fucking 1%er.
Oh,
I mean, this is just some of the sickest shit I've ever heard and seen in this small period of a time. And by the way, the next day I did tell the Win floor staff about this person. Say, hey, just so you know, she got kicked out of Venetian for going south in the middle of a hand. Like, it's something you want to know. And look, this woman is a lot of action and she's terrible, but you know something? After she left the game, I was glad. And it's not just because I won all the fucking money from her, okay? I don't like playing with people who are doing this. It's a completely big distraction. You don't want to have to be playing against somebody, looking over at them all the time, watching every move, making sure that they're not stealing from you. Who fucking needs this? I mean, we're fucking poker players here. We're pros. We've been doing this. We've beaten everybody from all over the country, from all over the world. I can live without one less whale, okay? If she's a total piece of shit who's stealing and constantly plays this innocent, puts this little face on, oh, what did I do? Like, it's like playing dumb. I mean, it's incredible. This is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in the poker environment. This old little Asian woman pulling every angle in the book, stealing from the pot, and then throwing her arms, whoa, what did I do? Trying to slow roll. I mean, it was just... And I just can't get over it. How I heard about this, and then this person identifies herself just a few hours later. No one provokes her. No one called her out. She said it herself to a person who was like, by the way, believing every word of her bullshit. And I think she was Japanese because I heard her say konnichiwa to somebody the next day. And she did talk across the table in Japanese for a couple of sentences. I was about to say English only, but they stopped and then they didn't talk again, so there was nothing left to say. But, oh my God. I mean, it makes me wonder about how many other times people have either tried this or gotten away with it. You know, you really got to watch every move. I mean, say what you want about all the colluding that can go on internet poker. None of this shit can ever exist. It is just all straight up, like, no fucking up the pot. The money goes here, the money goes there. There's no angles, there's nothing.
Yeah, in terms of pros and cons, live poker versus online poker, that would be one of the huge things in favor of online. Nobody can try these stupid little angles and shit like that. I feel like there's so many directions to take off of that little rant you just went on. First of all, I'm disappointed to hear that she's possibly Japanese. You know, I always thought the Japanese were an honorable people. You know, so I hope they kicked her out of their country because they don't. You know, they got to enforce that honor culture there. But
they don't deserve her. They don't deserve her.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe the other person was Japanese and she was just saying konnichiwa to them. You know, I mean, I don't know that she's Japanese. I mean, she didn't really look Japanese, but I have a hard time really pinpoint exactly where exactly from Asia each Asian person is from. There's a lot of
you're not good at that name the Asian game?
No, I mean there's a bunch of those there's a bunch of Asian countries, so you know, it's pretty easy to guess wrong. I mean, come on. It's like trying to guess when an American fucking walks into the room. You think you could guess what state he's from? There's 50 fucking states.
He's 30% Scotch, 70% Irish. Yeah.
He looks like he's from Nebraska, but maybe Wyoming. It's like, what?
He's got a sister named Leslie. I just know it from the way his nose is shaped. But yeah, so what a wild coincidence that, like, I just texted you about that. I only texted a handful of people, like, about the incident, and then lo and behold, she just walks to the casino next door and finds herself at your table telling the story of what just happened with in her own lying version, thus giving herself away to you, who she has no idea already sort of knows, and she's thus outing herself to you without even knowing it. That's wild, but so satisfying to hear that she went on to get crushed in that session, and yeah, about the whales and their behavior. Yeah, like that's one of the things that sort of pisses me off most about the way some people look at the game is they'll make any excuse for the whales as long as the guy's good action. Who cares? Let him be an asshole or pull angles or
no,
whatever. That's the way a lot of people feel, but I feel like absolutely not. The most important thing is honoring the integrity of the game. Anyone who can't do that needs to get the fuck out, and they're not welcome at my poker table.
Has no business being there if you cannot play with integrity. And if you're the type of person, I'm going to call all you out right now because you know who you are, all right? If you're the type of person who's going to put up with this shit and think that you should put up with this, you are the biggest fucking sellout to ever play poker, all right? Fuck these people, okay? You don't need their money. No matter what you think, I don't care what your situation is, you don't need money from this person. You don't need them in your game trying to scam people. Oh my God, what the fuck is this? Are we not in the Wynn? Are we not in a 5-star fucking casino? Where are we? I mean, I heard one player say at the table once, he was Asian as well. I mean, I think he's Chinese, but it doesn't fucking matter. And I'm only pointing out that he's Asian because the people who tend to play this way tend to be Asian people, and we're not being racist by fucking saying that. I mean, I think anybody who plays poker knows that. And what this guy said to me is a very telling of that statement, because he said to me, angling is part of the game. He was just saying it's part of the game. And obviously a lot of them feel that way because you see so many of them doing it. But it's fucking dirty, and this is just so far over the line. It's just all kinds of wrong to be fucking taking money out of the pot.
Yeah, I mean, taking money out of the pot, in my opinion, crosses a threshold. It's no longer even... that one is not even an angle, per se. That is just straight up cheating. Now, a lot of angles kind of are quasi-cheating anyway. But yes, yeah, I agree. Like, there seems to be something within the Asian culture. And now, maybe it's very nuanced, and of course, I don't know, maybe if it's I don't want to say Chinese versus Korean versus Japanese or whatever. I don't know, but I have noticed in my many years and tens of thousands of hours at the poker table, a higher percentage of the people pulling these little angles all the time tend to be Asians, So I don't know what it is about like their culture where they just don't, it's just they think if they can get it over on you, it's fair game. And like, yeah, we're all just here trying to deceive each other and whatever you can get away with is all fair game in this cutthroat game. That's the way they feel about it. But of course, I think it's very important to withhold the norm that like, no, this is a game of like honor and the rules all help us like respect each other and making sure that everything's above board, and you're going to win or lose based on some combination of luck and skill. And that's it. Just those two things, no trickery, deception like that.
Thievery.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think maybe that there's a chance that these people in their minds, the way they justify this is, okay, I'm a fish, I'm a losing player, I know I'm a losing player, but let me get like a little, rebate here and there when I'm able to get it over on you guys. Do you think maybe that's what they're thinking? Or are they just fucking malicious and nefarious scumbags who just have to steal?
Dan, unfortunately, I think a lot of people just go through life without really having that much concern for, like, the impact they have on others, Like, they just think... They have no theory of mind for, like, what it's like to be scammed like that. Or they just don't think about it, So, yeah. What was the question?
The question was, do you think that maybe she feels entitled to get something back?
Yeah. Well, now, yes, maybe it wouldn't surprise me at all if she feels that way, but that, of course, I would argue that she's wrong. Like, you're not entitled to shit. This game is not a charity. There's no rebate for, like, anyone. Like, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Get out of the kitchen, woman. See, that's how progressive I am. I tell women to get out of the kitchen. You know?
Yeah, see, you're an honorable man.
Yeah, exactly.
Women should be thankful that they get to lose their money to you.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, and trust me, there's a ton of, like, Asians I really like, I'm friends with, and who behave really respectfully and with integrity at the poker table. And of course, you know, I feel like you have to give these kind of caveats anytime you talk about anything, racial stereotype, but I might be running for president one day, Dan, so I just got to cover my ass here and say there's lots of good Asians out there, and I think I would love it if they would, like, fight harder to police their own peoples and be like, just teach each other that it's not cool to angle at the poker table, you know? It's not the way we do shit here. So
look, I fully feel the same way. We're not saying here that all Asian poker players do this. We're not even saying that many of them do it. We're just saying, out of all the people who do try this shit, they are occupying a healthy percentage of that number.
Yeah.
That's all.
Exactly. Of course, there's plenty of people of other persuasions who will do that as well.
I've seen all types of ethnicities, and everybody pulls all kinds of stupid shit at the table. I mean, they didn't invent it, and they're not the only ones who do it. It's just when you hear this story, you know, you don't want to be presumptuous and think an Asian person did it, but are you? Come on! I mean, no. I'm sorry to say, I wasn't shocked when I found out this is who it was. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you'd make a lot of money if you could bet on a person's race anytime you hear a story about an angler at the poker table.
So then after I sent him the photograph, he asks me later that night, he's like, you mind if I share this and just, you know, get the word out to people? I was like, yeah, sure. And then when I'm playing the next day, when I'm playing with this woman, who I haven't seen since Saturday, the last Saturday of March, whatever day that was, now I'm getting text from other regs showing me the post that Brent put up, and they're saying, like, hey, have you been playing with her? Like, that's hers. And I was like, yeah, that's her. I was like, and I took the fucking photo. So, it's...
Yeah, sorry, I didn't give proper credit to you as the photographer for capturing that, because I didn't manage to get a picture of myself. It all happened so fast. But, yeah, you know, eventually I was just like, why don't I just make a post? I feel like something... Hopefully we've all learned over the last decade or so in poker is there's all these like scandals and situations of people acting shady, if not outright cheating and whatever, is like, you know, there's hardly any kind of legal consequences or really any, like, the only thing we can do is like send out the alarm when something happens and like warn others about, you know, possible cheaters in the community or whatever, at least so they can look out for them and protect themselves. So, yeah, I just thought, why not? Let me make a little tweet about it, just kind of saying quickly, hey, this woman's a cheater, this, what I caught her doing, this is her picture. Look out if you play in Vegas, you know? So, I thought I'd do a little PSA there. I was slightly surprised to see how much exposure it got. You know, I just make the tweet in the morning, and then by the afternoon it has like tens of thousands of views and replies and retweets and stuff. Yeah, I'm still calling it tweets and retweets. I don't care about it. X, you know.
Well, we know what you're talking about. That's what matters. No, I didn't realize that it had gotten that much attention. But, you know, something I'm glad it did, because it deserves that much attention, because I'm in my 19th year as a full-time player, minus a few years from breaks, or rather including the breaks, I should say. I've just never seen anything like this. I mean, I was playing at the Borgata in Atlantic City in 2024. I hadn't been to the Borgata in like 10 years. I was so excited to get back there. And I knew it wasn't going to be the same that it was in 2008, but holy shit, what a fucking dump it is now. And they treat the players like shit. They don't care about anything. And I caught a guy like trying to like jack quarters out of the pot. It was like some like European white man in like his 50s or 60s. I mean, it was like, and we all saw him doing it, and it was like nothing was really done about it. We just had to stop. But it's like, other than that, I mean, I haven't seen or heard a story of anything like this. I mean, and this woman sounds like she's pretty quick with her hands, huh?
Yeah, she seemed like, a bit of a sleight of hand. Like, you know, if scamming people in poker fails, she could always open up like a magic show in Vegas with her sleight of hand. She's
three-card money.
So good at. Yeah, exactly. Like, the situation happened to be such that it was easy for me to catch because, as I said, she had exactly one black chip, and a small stack overall. That one black chip represented, 40% of her stack. So when it went missing, that was easier to notice. But just imagine how many times throughout your career you may have not caught something like this. Or what if someone has like a stack of, like a much bigger stack, and then they just lift maybe the top black chip or something. Maybe they had 8 or 9 blacks and you're not sure, whatever, you're just getting pushed the pot, but it never even crosses your mind that maybe they lifted a little bit because they lost or something.
Yeah, we had Bruce Bishop on here last year, and he's a dealer, and he told the story about he once caught a player trying to steal $300 out of a pot because he stacked off, he's pushing all his chips in, and he's got his chips stacked like a tower, and he's got one of his hands, like covering the top stack, which is a single stack, and as he's releasing all the chips and taking his hand back, Bruce takes his hand, turns it over, and finds 3 black chips in there. $300.
Wow.
How fucking crazy is that? I mean,
he just grabbed the guy's hand and turned it over?
Like
freaking, that is so gangster as a dealer. I love that.
It's incredibly gangster. I mean, I could not believe he had the balls to do that.
That's amazing.
And I give him credit for doing it, but it's just, it's amazing that he was right. I mean, if he wasn't absolutely sure of what was going on, maybe he doesn't even try stuff like that. But,
now, he mentioned that story on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Now I remember, because I did hear that episode, yeah. Yeah, go Bruce. That's awesome.
And I was thinking, as a floor person, I mean, you don't want to be results-oriented, but I might have said to him, listen, Bruce, we're really glad that you were right, but I don't know what to say to a dealer who did that, because if he's wrong, that looks so fucking bad, but it looks so... How could you... What are you going to say to the guy if he's right, though? I mean, what can you... You're not going to write him up. You're not going to do anything to him. I mean, you might say, God, I mean, we really would have... Rather you had not done that before the fact, but after the fact, geez, I mean, hey, nice going.
Well, if you grab the guy's hand and turn it over and there's no chips in there, then you got to play it off with like, oh, sorry, I thought I saw something troubling in your palm, in one of your palm lines. Now I see you're good. I thought you were going to be visited by the Grim Reaper here, but I was misreading that. I just needed a closer look.
My bad. I mean, yeah, it is. That is the single most gangster story I know of a dealer. I mean, I guess you might want to look at these acts of thievery when people get away from them. I mean, I don't want to write this off as just the cost of doing business, but perhaps it is. Perhaps if somebody does pull something sly and you just didn't see it and you never know about it, then what are you going to do? I mean, if you were $500 richer today, would it make your life that much different? Not really, but fuck that. That's still your $500. But something, I mean... This is the type of people we play against. We play against people who are stupid and weak and don't have any fucking common sense, and maybe once in a while you come across somebody who successfully steals from you. Maybe. It's a real big fucking chance to take, and most people would never even consider doing something like that. I mean, I don't know what kind of treatment this woman thinks she's going to get. Thinks, oh, who's going to attack me in the parking garage? I'm just this little old Asian lady. I mean, she's not wrong if that's what she thinks.
Yeah, I mean, someone like with her profile might think, feel emboldened to try stuff because she feels like she can get away with it because who's going to pick on the sweet old Asian woman, And she's right, no one's going to pick on her. But, yeah, so how many times has this kind of thing happened? What kind of actual risk factor is this for people to consider when they play? That's hard to put a number on, but I'm quite certain I've been... successfully angled in all sorts of different ways throughout my career, and hopefully not as easily nowadays now that I've gotten the experience and know what to look out for. But I've also believe I've been cheated. Like a couple of years ago there was some like cheating ring in Vegas, and I believe based on what came out after the fact that I was one of the many victims who played in that game and probably got cheated and stuff. But just angling generally, like there's so much to look out for, and you really have to cover your own ass is like if I could like impose any kind of lesson here in the podcast, it's like, yeah, it's great to, if the dealers and staff are like really aware and can help, but like you can't trust the other players to act honorably, and you gotta always cover your own ass in so many different ways. And even when someone's not intentionally angling you, like for instance when you've won an all-in, instead of celebrating and thinking about how great that is, why don't you watch the dealer count the stacks and make sure like they're not making a mistake, and so you're getting paid the right amount. Same thing with like covering your own ass with any kind of angles. Like, so how many times have I caught someone like doing this exact thing from the story I told today? I'm not sure this may be the only time, although it sounds like something I maybe have encountered before, or just something similar. Like, I know I've caught people going south just in the middle of a hand like that is a little bit unique. Also, there's always people, hiding their chips. Again, a lot of Asian people love to keep their biggest chip like off to the side and in such a way where if they're in seat 1, only the players in 2, 3, and 4 can see that chip, but the rest of the half of the table can't see it, All this kind of stuff. You just always gotta, as a player, be paranoid about like that kind of stuff. Always ask, do you have any big chips? Make them show you, or because they can't just flat out lie about it, because then they can't get paid on it.
Something the Win does not do that I really wish they would do and don't understand why they don't do, and the Venetian does do it, is if there's a chip runner who's been given some cash, he's going to go bring back some money for the guy. There is no indication that there's no visible, like, physical indication that this is taking place. There are no lammers in front of the player. The Venetian uses a little plaque that says money behind, which gives players the cue to inquire how much money is coming. I mean, there have been times, because of what you said, I've been doing this more, and it's not even because I ever got fucked. I just had the thought one day, don't assume if someone only has $300 that they don't have another 1,000 coming. Even when I know that like they don't have money coming, because I didn't see anyone ask, I didn't see them ask for more chips. I just make sure this is what he's got, right? Because the Win doesn't do anything. They just make you have to be there when it's spoken. But it's like, that doesn't make any sense, because what if you're getting new chips because you stacked off again? What if you're getting chips coming to you and I'm in the bathroom while this is being communicated, and I come back and let's say you got, or actually, here's a better example. Let's say someone, not you, because you would never stack off. Let's say somebody has $1,500 and then loses $1,200 down to $300. They give a chip runner another $1,200. So they still got 3 in play. Now I come back from the bathroom, but I don't have any idea that this has been communicated to anybody. I just see him with $300. I assume that's what he's got. And then what if I get into a hand where he goes all in and I call thinking I'm calling $300 total and it's $1,500 total? I saw this happen a few years ago over the summer. Now, I don't know if the guy was away from the table. He may have been at the table and just wasn't paying attention, and that's what they were punishing him with, saying that, it was set at the table, you're supposed to know. That is fucking bullshit. I mean, there needs to be some type of visible indication that more money is coming. It's so freaking easy. Why don't they do it?
To me, that's basically a rhetorical question, because I couldn't agree with you more. There is no reason not to do it. Yeah, it's great that the Venetian does that. I feel like every poker room should. And I actually wish that people just weren't allowed to play chips that they didn't have yet. You can't really play the stack until you get it sitting in front of you. I just feel like there's this weird, entitlement, this sense of eagerness, I just can't miss a hand, I gotta be dealt in the next hand. It's dude, just take 2 hands off, you'll get your chips, and you're back in the game. What's a big deal? But, everyone just wants to, they're just so tilted about stacking off, they need to gamble again right away, and I don't know, I feel like it's just a mental illness. But anyway.
It is. But let's get it back now.
If the poker rooms are going to cater to that mental illness and let people play chips they don't even have, they gotta help protect their other players by doing exactly what you said. The hypothetical bathroom, coming back from the bathroom, you never even had a chance to know what was going on. And of course, you're not just going to ask randomly every time you come back from the bathroom, dealer, is anyone any extra chips behind?
I know, who's going to fucking do that?
Yeah, so you would be totally 100% in the right and having done nothing wrong and still get screwed there for sure. Yeah, so I don't understand what the resistance to allowing those money behind placards to be. But I will also say...
You want to hit this?
Yes. I love the Win. It's my favorite poker room. I think Ryan does a great job, and most of their policies are amazing. So, I don't know. I'm sure they have their reasons for any policies they have. But that one does dumbfound me. I can't really even think of the straw man. With the straw man scenario, the steel man for, having that policy, I don't know, maybe you just think having a bunch of placards on the table is like unbecoming or not classy enough for this classy poker room to win, and they don't want to have.
I mean, use the fucking lammers.
I
use
don't know.
Something. You have lammers, to do
placards,
something.
I don't know if I'm even using the right word, but yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing. But yeah,
I mean, if you're just going to take our word for it and everything, how about this? We all sit down. Nobody presents any money. We all just say how much money we're playing, and then we say we're betting $500, and we're betting $100. We're all in, and then we'll just settle up when it's done. You know, I mean, it dumbfounds me too. I don't think there's any plausible explanation that could ever make any sense. I mean, those placards are not going to be on the table very often, and they're only going to be there for the duration it takes for someone to get their chips, which doesn't usually take more than a few minutes if it's really busy. When it's not busy, it's under a minute.
Yeah. Again, I just think it's like silly to let people. I think the fact that letting people play money behind that they don't even have in front of them, to me, it's like allowing one. It's like catering to one player at the expense of everyone else. It distributed some extra risk of confusion or whatever to everyone else at the table who didn't do anything wrong. You know, like I feel like you should just always have to have it in front of you, and like it's just a matter of a patience of a minute or two, like you said. That you're not any kind of great victim of oppression if you can't play money behind that you're waiting on. You know, just wait a hand. You're fine.
I mean, I'm fine with them playing with just the plaque in front of them. I mean, as long as they've produced the cash. And yeah, it's a little pain in the ass, but you know something? You want to get it while it's hot. Don't even give them... I don't want them to take a hand or two off. I don't want them to have 2 or 3 minutes to calm down. I want them to spew right now. And you're right, it is a sickness, and that's what we're there to take advantage of. So fuck them. All we got to do is just present a visible, give us some visual that there's money coming, because it can happen. Someone can come back from the bathroom, have no idea someone's playing behind, and they get fucked for it. And it's going to happen eventually if it hasn't already.
Yeah, well said. Reasonable minds can disagree on some of the finer points here, but I also feel like...
No, fuck you.
We're definitely going to have a knife fight once we stop recording here. Or maybe while we're recording. That would probably be more entertaining. But somebody needs to commentate for the audience. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. But
please continue.
Letting people play money behind also what if might screw someone who's like just about to leave? Like, what if I'm racking up, I need to leave, I got to catch a dinner somewhere, I'm already kind of late, I shouldn't have played this extra orbit, and now I stack someone who was like... had money behind, and now I'm like, I can't even leave yet. I gotta wait on his chips to arrive so I can get paid, but there's a big line over here. Like, I just feel like even in that hypothetical, like, it's not fair to make someone wait extra time to get paid. You know, we should all be squared up after every single pot, you know, and makes things easier for the dealers and the staff. Whatever. I don't feel like so passionate about this issue that like it's worth spending the whole rest of the podcast on, but like I just somehow we got like this is where the conversation went, but like this is not my main issue I would plant my flag in. You know, it's relatively minor in comparison to so many other things we could be ranting about.
I mean, yeah. You're not wrong that it's a pain in the ass to have to wait, but I think it's worth the wait at that point. So, all right, look, you want to change the subject? You want to be a fucking grouch over there? You got it. So, Brent, you've been busy on the tables lately. Tell us, you got any interesting hand histories you'd like to share? Because we love hand histories on the Dead Money podcast. Maybe we can rant about something that happened there.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to have you pick a number 1 through 3.
6.
And 6, okay, well that's divisible by all 3 of those numbers, so that doesn't help.
So I should pick another number?
1, 2, or 3. Yeah.
All right, how about 1?
All right. So, okay, if I'm invited on a podcast and I have the freedom to pick any hand I want, you're damn right I'm going to pick a brag hand. So I'll just go ahead and own that right now. Like,
Let's hear it.
This was kind of a fun one. And
what happened? You hit a 2-outer?
Yeah. Okay, so you picked hand number 1. That is this one. So this was at Red Rock 5-5. No limit hold'em cash game. It's time rake, so there's no rake coming out of the pot for whatever that's worth. This is a pretty deep game, like 2,500 max buy-in. So one of the villains, this ends up being a multi-way pot. So this under the gun player who I'd already noticed was like definitely kind of a whale. He limps. I'm next to act with King 9 of spades. The tables are 8-handed. I can't remember right now if it was exactly 8 or 7-handed. Somebody was walking or whatever. But, okay. he limps king 9 of spades next act. I make it 15, a small raise. And then so some woman in the big blind, again, another Asian lady, to my knowledge, not a cheater or angler, but different person. But she calls, and then this whale who limped under the gun calls. So we are three-handed. There's like 50 in the pot. And, okay, I have king 9 of spades. It's 9, 6, 4, 2 hearts, and a diamond. So top pair here. They both check. I bet my top pair. I go for a small bet of just 10 into 50. Now this woman in the big blind, she does a small check raise. So 30, okay?
Ooh, I'm 3-betting this shit all day.
Okay, well, hold on now. The whale who limped and then checked the flop now calls this 30. He's cold calling. But again, it's relative to the pot. These are still pretty small bets, 10 to 30. The pot was 50. So he calls what's really just a reasonable size, I guess. And then, okay, do you still feel, as you said, is this still a 3-bet for you?
It's so tilting and it's so dangerous, and you know that this is going to be very fucking uncomfortable. But yes, I am 3-betting this shit big. And if you take it here, that ain't such a bad thing. I mean, but look, I think in this spot, how are you up against anything better than your hands? I mean, it's like, just fucking get this pot up and up. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I think this is a great spot to 3-bet. I really think we especially have the best hand versus the whale who checked and now called 30. I think if he had a set or something, I think we'd just be hearing something else from him. But this woman who check raised could have like ace 9 or pocket 10s or pocket jacks or something. So that's certainly reasonable that she might have us beat. But I also think 3-betting here puts pretty much her whole... I also think... So I'm like interrupting myself with backtracking here, but I think there's probably a sizing tell in her check raise. Like
absolutely,
she's probably gonna go much bigger with a flop set. On this wet board here, multiple like open enders and gut shots and flush and heart flush draws. So yeah, and a pretty dynamic board. Only 9 high. But anyway, yeah, I just feel like that's kind of like a medium strength kind of hand check raise. So a good top pair, over pair, whatever. I
think over pairs are going way bigger. I think any hand that can beat your hand goes way bigger than 30. But
okay,
continue.
Fair enough. I'm not sold. All those things are possible, as the process of elimination rolls on as we continue through the hand. Hopefully the read will become more refined, But
yeah, anyway. Look, that's just my assumption.
Yeah, so I also feel like, basically, I put her whole range in a terrible spot with a 3-bet, because, especially if I go kind of big, because now, she's kind of sandwiched in between me and the third player, and I really like, theory-wise, she probably has to respond really tightly to a 3-bet here. And in real life, maybe she'll respond too loosely versus a 3-bet, but that still plays fine for me, I think, with the hand that I have, being in position. Hopefully you can make good decisions later in the hand. And I also really want to charge this whale who's in the middle, who thinks he can just check and then call 30 and get to see a turn. No.
No way.
I want to make sure this guy's either putting in way more money with his draw, or if he finds a fold, whatever. At least we drove his equity out of the hand, which is fine.
I know it sounds crazy, but if you jam, I don't really mind.
Well, no, we're way too deep to jam. I didn't even say stack sizes yet, but like...
But it would be so funny if you jam.
Yeah.
Because people spaz and call off here sometimes. Like, you just get it all against some stupid draw.
Oh, man. Maybe. But, like, we're super deep. Anyway, that jamming was not an option I seriously considered in the moment, but I made it 150, all right? So...
I mean, look, jamming is like the cocaine move, but cocaine can be very good sometimes.
Oh, I'm a big fan of the cocaine jam, yeah.
Cocaine bear.
The problem is I rarely have enough cocaine on me. I need to start doing bumps of that at the poker table instead of these gummies I'm popping.
Yeah, maybe she wanted that $100 to go buy another 8-ball or something.
Yeah,
or a gram. No, you can't get an 8-ball for $100.
I feel like this 3-bet is gonna play really well. Like I'm either gonna get them to put in way more money with worse hands or fold away some equity, and maybe they put in money with a better hand than mine that hopefully, again, I trust myself to at least play well against on future streets. So, in position. And if this lady finds a 4-bet, like, then I think I can reassess my read and just fold. So, it's only $150 so far, which is what I made it here. So
yeah, it's perfectly good.
They both call, all right?
But jamming is more fun.
Yeah. So they both call the 150. So now I'm really thinking this woman in particular probably has like a good one pair type of hand. Maybe she has a good draw, but like, I don't know. I think someone like her, just based on just a profile, is probably more likely to like just call the flop bet with like a draw than she is to check raise it small, So I think like there's a lot of, again, like I said, top pairs, maybe weak to strong top pairs and some over pairs, whatever. But
I think her range is more draw weighted if she calls a much bigger bet on the flop. If you bet like 40, I think when you bet so fucking tiny that it's gonna widen her check raise range, and I think when she makes it 30, now it's like it screams this very, very just so draw. Because if she had a big hand, I think she would want to make it a lot bigger than that to make it harder for the draws to call. So I think it's just some silly pair hands. But anyway, I don't mean to.
No, it's all good.
Go
Maybe
ahead.
you're right. Maybe I'm making a bit of a misread on how she's going to play her draws versus her top pairs here, which is obviously an important thing to get right.
But just remember, you're in my fucking studio, and that means I'm always right.
All right, you get the home field advantage.
There.
So, but, basically the main point is, on the flop, I'm hardly ever, like, really trying to home in and, like, range someone perfectly. Everything has some weighted probability, and we refine further as we go, especially in position when deep. So they both call 500 now in the pot, and the turn is a deuce of clubs. So total brick, 9-6, 4 deuce, 9-6 of hearts. She checks. Now this whale who's in the middle, who again limped under the gun, called, and now check called 30, and then called again. So he check called 30 on the flop, and then called to 150. So now he leads the turn. Or will lead, I don't know, he's in the middle, but he didn't check to me, It checks to him, and then he decides to bet 255. So he bets half pot, basically. And he has like 800 behind, and this woman in the blind has 1100 left in her stack. So they have similar stacks, but he's now put in a quarter of that stack, or 20% of it. And I basically just don't believe whatever he's trying to say right here. And, he's a whale, so he's just going to click buttons and tell bad stories, but I feel like he's trying to represent something here that he can't represent based on his flop play. Like if he had flopped a set or something, once I had made it 150 on the flop and then this woman called, there's no way he's just going to just call that and then also decide to lead the turn here. No, he's going to be like 4-betting the flop in that ultra rare scenario that he got there with a set,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when this turn card comes, he's repping the nuts, but...
Yeah, so this deuce, he can't represent anything on this deuce that he couldn't already represent on the flop, but yet his play on the flop just has me not believing that he could ever have anything good. So I basically think he's just like, has a draw, and is just like feeling like he wants to be aggressive right now, And he doesn't, just want to check to the razor all the time, and I respect a whale who comes to battle and be tricky, and that's cool. And I kind of like admire his like balls to take this line, but at the same time, I think it's a terrible line. I just don't believe him. So I'm pretty sure I have the best hand versus him. Now I'm kind of concerned about this woman in the blinds, and so basically I'm thinking like if I call here, she's going to be invited to call also with ace 9 or pocket 10s or pocket jacks, if she has any of those, right? And
I would jam to knock out ace 9.
Yeah, and then also, if I just call, now I'm, of course, allowing this guy to realize his equity with his draw. Yes, he's already put in this bet, but we can still charge him the rest of his stack, or have him fold away whatever he has, which is...
This is just what happens when you're playing against bad players. You get put in these really weird spots where you find yourself thinking it makes sense to go all in this really crazy crossfire, but I think it's a good move here, yeah.
Yeah, and these kind of situations are some of my favorite in poker when in a multi-way pot, when you can find a move that will like drive out what is likely the best hand and yet force the worst hand to then call off their stack or fold away a ton of equity in a big pot, you know? So that's what I feel like happened here. I did jam, and she tank folded, and then he called off and was open-ended with the 7-8. So that I felt like was a fun hand because of it's like a kind of an unconventional, it's like I'm overplaying my hand. I have top pair, second kicker, and I'm like playing it like I have the nuts, basically. 3-betting the flop, and then like jamming over a turn bet in a multi-way pot. Like, I'm taking the most aggressive action I can on every possible decision here.
Other than betting 10 on the flop, yeah, that's all.
Well, but it's still an aggressive decision despite the size.
It is still, you're right, it is still a bet.
And I'm inviting, people to reopen the action, which I would want to do with a strong hand as well. So
yes, I'm trying to get better at finding spots to do that. I mean, I'm always afraid to do that and think it's just going to cost me, but you see what it did here. I mean, and yeah, it's just what you said. It feels like you're making this dramatic overplay, but this is the kinds of things that happen when you're playing against players who played this poorly. You can win more money from them with a weaker range. You can get piles in with top pair, second kicker in this situation. This sequence of action with all the betting and 3-betting and calling. I mean, this is the way it goes. This would never happen against a good player. A good player would never make it this easy for you to just relentlessly punish the fucking shit out of them. So he just has 7-8 suited. So he has...
He wasn't, I don't even think he was suited.
So he may have had a backdoor flush draw on the flop, or maybe he has drawn in the nut straight, but he only has 6 clean outs.
Yeah.
But he's getting stacked with all, I mean, he's going to go with it, even if it's the 5 of hearts or the 10 of hearts. Or what was the suit? Was it the hearts that were out there? 2 hearts on the flop? Yeah, so, yeah, unbelievable. I mean, I know, you feel like you're committing suicide when you do this, but it's actually just, like, I felt like the flop raise... The flop 3-bet just sounded relatively easy to me, very easy. And even in this spot, you just got to pray she doesn't have 5-3. But if she does, you just have to live with it.
Oh,
it sucks, but you have to. And I wonder what she... Okay, do you remember the river? Was it a heart? Like, did she get all flustered?
Well, we ended up running it twice, and I don't... He did hit it. He hit the straight on one of them, but...
You didn't scoop this fucking thing?
No. But, of course, that's not the point. I got him to call off, and him calling off on the river with one card to come, open-ended is like, he should probably just be folding there. So that's more EV he's giving me.
Of course. Of course, it's not the point if you scooped or not, but I just assumed that you did. I mean, wait, do you know which run you lost?
The second, I think.
Do you always run it twice on all-ins if you can?
I'm happy to just do whatever my opponent wants. I kind of slightly prefer running it twice, but the Venetian just started allowing people to run it twice, but you have to pay like extra $5 in the rake.
Double rake?
So I'm never going to run it twice there. No way.
I mean, yeah, because if it's a 5K pot, you're just playing 2 $2,500 pots, so I can see how they want to do that, plus the extra time it takes. But even so, I'm surprised. You would have struck me as like a run it once kind of guy. I mean, when I played bigger...
When I'm rich enough, Dan, I'll be a run it once guy again. I used to be a run it once guy, but... I could use the variance reduction. That still is appealing to me right now.
I did run it twice when I played higher, at least once. One time I tried, they wouldn't let us. Maybe I did it a second time. I mean, when I did it, though, I know it was probably in the first year or two. And then I just wanted the blood and guts spilled. I wanted someone to be in maximum pain. It's okay if it's me, because I think I can take it better than you bitches, because I got a higher pain tolerance than you do. So just give me the blood or give me the money. And one time, I was playing at the Suncoast. They used to have this button straddle game that ran a couple days a week. Then it started bouncing around. It was at Red Rock, too. I think the cap was 3K. It was like 2-5 with a mandatory button straddle of 10 to 50. And to make the button go in order, there has to be a raise and a 3-bet. If there's only a raise, the action still jumps over the button and comes back to them last. Really fucking ridiculous. But
wow.
I get it all in on the turn against this guy, and he's got me fucked. I got 5 outs. I don't remember the situation, but I had 5 outs. And he's asking about running it twice, and I said, no, I want to run once. And the dealer was like, all right, I'm looking at the dealer like, okay, deal. Like, the dealer was like, wait. He's like, He like, can you call the floor? I was like, you can't call the floor for running it for your opponent not wanting to run it twice. What do you think you're doing here? I mean, this guy was so nervous to lose this hand that he like wanted to see if he could get the floor involved to get him some assistance on running this all in twice. And of course, he fucking won. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, that is funny.
Call the floor.
Like, he had a totally misunderstanding, like, how this process works. Like, it has to be mutual, like, consent. Both people want it, or it just doesn't happen. There's no, oh, we needed the floor to, like, adjudicate this this disagreement. Like, we're going to court here or something like. No.
Oh, goodness.
You're running it once.
I know. That was just absolutely jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
You got time for one more hand?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, so I like the situation there. Yeah. One of my most satisfying feelings in poker, I feel like, is in these multi-way pots where you can bluff out the best hand, yet get the worst hand, again, to call off or whatever. There's like...
Oh, yeah.
It's basically as good as it gets in poker.
No, it's true. I told a hand about that a couple months ago, where it feels like you're doing some Jackie Chan shit. You're fighting off all these people at once, and you're getting what you want from each one of them. You're going for value against this guy, deny equity to this guy, and you're bluffing this guy.
Yeah, and maybe I had the best hand, maybe not, but playing it this way just like ensures that I'm going to win either way, you know? Or get her out of the hand.
Yeah,
of course, not ensure, but, you know, it worked out. So
I think
maybe it's results-oriented as well to be so happy about it. But.
No. I think you did everything perfectly. I mean, I think 3-betting the flop is something you absolutely have to do. I think it's a no-brainer, as crazy as it is. I mean, you don't get put in this situation very often. And I think on the turn, I think it's just an automatic shove. I mean, you're just like kind of bracing yourself, taking a deep breath, like, oh my god, am I really going to get it in dead here with this hand?
Well, he actually does me a favor by betting the turn. Like, if it just checks to me and I bet again, it's way harder to get this woman out of the hand, and he gets to just call and see, like, but him betting, allowing me to jam over him was, like, the perfect setup. It's like he's bump, set, spike the volleyball. He's, like, setting it to me, you know?
That is exactly...
spike it.
That is exactly what this was. That's
a
perfect analogy. I love...
She bumped... Her check was the bump. His bet was the set. And my jam was the spike. Bump, set, spike. Teammates in volleyball. There we go. All right. Well, now pick 1 or 2.
2.
All right. 2.
Number 2.
All right. This one happened in the Win 5-10 game, which is played... with a big blind ante, and it's time rake, so no rake coming out of the pot. I had 8-7 of spades under the gun, and I'm not opening like every combo of suited connectors necessarily under the gun, but this one I was. Anyway, not to discuss that decision too much. I made it 30, and the next two players called, and Howard, one of my favorite regular opponents there, hilarious old man, called in the big blind, and so we're four-handed here. It's like 130 in the pot, 135, and it's Jack 6 deuce rainbow 1 spade. I have 8-7 of spades, and
is the spade a 6?
You know, Dan, I did not write that down, so
maybe not, because then you'd have the backdoor open it, the 6, 7, 8 of spades. You know. Yes, maybe I would have notated it as such in the hand history if that were the case, but I did not, so... if Jack is the spade, you can go 9-10 of spades. Yeah. So you got all kinds of backdoor straight flush hopes. If you're running bad... it's not the deuce. Yeah, if the deuce is a spade, you're running terrible here. So, okay, Howard checks. I'm second to act out of 4 players. And something I've changed a lot over the last year and a half, I feel like. Hopefully too many of my opponents don't listen to this, but... I just started doing a lot more, like, tiny bets on the flop in, like, multi-way pots and with, like, pretty wide range and stuff, which I think accomplishes a lot of great things, like, including setting your own price to get to realize some equity with hands exactly like this. If I just bet small and nobody raises me, like, that's pretty sick. Now I get to have keep the initiative and cheaply realize some equity and stay uncapped and everything. And I would have a pretty easy... fold with this particular hand if I do face a sizable raise. So unless you have the backdoor straight flush draw. Yeah. Then it's a jam. Exactly. So, okay, Howard checked. I decided to bet 20 here into 130. So less than 1/6 pot
four-handed. And I got exactly what I wanted, which was, well, the best possible scenario would have been everyone just folds somehow, but, who's that lucky? No one. But everyone called, so no raises here. So I'm fairly happy. It would have been nice to actually get a fold or two and get closer to heads up and whatever, but this is fine. So, okay, so now there's 210 in the pot. And the turn is a 8, now putting 2 diamonds on the board and giving me second pair. So, again, the board is Jack, 6, deuce, 8. Now with 2 diamonds, I have 8, 7 of spades. So, now again, Howard checks. So, I still have I've had the betting lead the whole time in this hand. I now have second pair. Considering my options, I don't, betting big with this hand I think would be a mistake. Checking would be fine, I guess. However, the big downside to checking is allowing, if it checks through and, now 6 cards have, 6 cards from 3 combined hands all have equity here going to the river. It's going to be really hard to hold up. I do think it's a reasonable chance. I actually just have the best hand, given that Jack X would raise a small flop bet a lot of the time, So that leaves a lot of 6X and small pocket pairs and maybe pocket 7s and maybe some low gut shots, to the 6 high straight, 5-4, 3-4, and maybe some, ace deuce suited or whatever. There's a lot of hands that are conceivably in these calling ranges on the flop that I actually just pulled ahead of here by making second pair, no kicker. However, now, of course, this brought extra draws. Now there's 2 diamonds on the board and all sorts more straight draws and stuff. So I thought there was a lot of merit to double barreling here with this very thin hand. It's kind of a mergy thing. Hopefully I can get called by worse, or maybe occasionally get a better hand to fold, like pocket 9s, or get some equity to fold away, So... But I went small again, because I felt like betting big would be a mistake, and then I'm kind of strengthening people's calling ranges too much. So I need to keep it small. I felt like, again, set my price a little bit as well for going to the river, if hopefully I'm lucky enough to fade or raise. So I bet 50, okay? Almost quarter pot in the 210. And the next player to act folds, and now we're 3-handed, but the player who had ultimate position... it's now on him, and he raises to 250. So he 5x's. My bet makes basically like a 2/3 pot raise, and Howard folds. He was in the big blind. So now we are heads up and facing this raise. We got to call 200 more now into a pot of like 510, and we are still pretty deep. I didn't even write down how deep we are, which means it didn't become the little spoiler. There's some money that goes in later as well, and then it was not an all-in. So we must have started the hand at least 3,000 deep. But anyway, it's on me. I don't want to just narrate through my whole thoughts without giving you a chance to speak. So I don't know if you want to offer any thoughts, or you just want me to keep going.
Well, since you begged for it, I'll give it to you. Yeah, I mean, you're in a tough spot now. I think that betting really big on the turn, you said you thought it was a mistake, and I'm not saying I think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't know if it's a bad idea. I don't know if I would ever be in this spot, so that's why it's hard for me to say what to do now. And that's not even to say that you're making this whole big blunder. In the 2-5 pool, I just never find myself in a situation like this. But just off the top of my head, shooting from the hip, I mean, if you blast hard on the turn, you put some of the higher equity draws that can be here now in tough spots. You put a jack in tough spot. You have your 5 outs are probably all clean. I mean, unless 9-10 is in there somehow. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it would be, but interesting. I mean, and now that you're facing this raise, I mean, it's like, God, what do you do now? I mean, this is, I'd be hating life here. So so the guy raises you to 250, and here we are. What next?
Yeah. Well, just to backtrack to the sizing decision on the turn there, I feel like in order to bet big, I either have to be like super confident I have the best hand, or I'm just committing to like actually turning this into a bluff. Like, if I bet big, I'm really just trying to get a jack to fold and stuff. But I'm never getting... I'm, like, giving all the worse hands easier folds. Like, versus a small bet, I feel like hands like 6-5 are in a tough spot here.
Yeah.
They kind of have to call again, and maybe some... or, and then, like, a jack X might just, like, have a similar calling frequency either way. Like, maybe they fold more on the river if I bet big, and then I bet big again on the river. But on the turn, I'm not, like... I've kind of decided I'm not, like, that interested in, like, making that my main goal is, like, to get a jack to fold. So I'm more interested in doing kind of a mergy, like, deny some equity, and I can get called. Also, if I check and face a bet, I think I might have to call this hand, and I would rather set my own price and keep the betting lead than to check and call a bigger bet and have surrendered the betting lead, you know. Anyway, but definitely a lot of reasonable ways to think about it. So once he raised, though, I would not say I bet to induce a raise. In fact, like, that was one of the, going into it, I probably would have called that, like, a bad result. Like, I hope I don't get raised, right? But then once this raise happens, I'm like, of course, we're always hand reading. And again, he did not raise. I bet 20 into 130 on the flop. Another player called, and then he just called. And now the turn is a seemingly, like, inconsequential card. Like, maybe he had an 8-6 suited or a jack 8 if he's playing really loose, and, like, maybe he made a 2-pair there. But, okay, what else could he be repping on this turn? He's basically, the value hand that he's really trying to rep is, like, pocket 8s. Like, oh, I just turned a set. But I have an 8 in my hand, which is huge, so there's only one combo of those left.
Unless he's repping, the other sets.
Yeah, but again, he didn't raise the flop, which I think he would be very likely to.
Well, and a Jack 6 deuce rainbow, I mean, that's the one type of flop texture where I can see them not raising, because there's very few turn cards that suck.
And I would think maybe heads up or whatever, you would do a lot of calling and slow playing, but I still think multi-way when there's been a bet and a call, most people.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a small bet like this. I just think, maybe I can be successfully tricked. Anyone listening to this who wants to just call tiny bets on the flop, multi-way with flop sets, like, please be my guest and exploit me that way. But
yeah,
I'm happy for the free, like, setting my own price and
all right,
whatever. So anyway, but what does this card also do? It presents all sorts of new, like, a lot of my villains' calling range on the flop is hands that have backdoor draws, right? So this card now puts a diamond draw out there and creates all sorts of straight draws,
Yep.
9-10, 9-7, Queen 10 suited, all that stuff.
4-5 is a double gutter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 4 or 5 double gutted now, exactly. Anyway, I didn't think, like, I think it just creates such a wide possible bluffing range for him and doesn't really give him much value, again, because I think my blocker here is huge to what he's actually trying to rep. So I thought this was actually a pretty good spot to call, having now realized that I probably induce a wide bluffing range to my own benefit here. And the river's going to be tough. Like, there's going to be a lot of river cards that I might not know what to do. But for now, I'm happy to call and see what happens, So I call. River's a king offsuit. No flush gets there. So
kind of a blank.
Yes, exactly. This is an overcard. Yeah, sure, but is it an overcard I should be scared of?
Well,
not really.
I guess it could be if he has, like, king 10 of diamonds, king queen. I mean, it's not a blank.
Yeah.
But all things considered, it's not terrible at all.
He could have a king X of diamonds, exactly, or a king jack, which did, just call the flop and is raising the turn for thin value versus my small bet. That's totally reasonable. So basically that's what I'm concerned with now. The super rare slow played set, and then king jack and king X of diamonds.
It's not a blank, but you could do a lot worse than that.
Yeah, but every straight draw missed and every flush draw missed. So if he didn't have it on the turn, the only way he sucked out here is if, again, the king X of diamonds just making a top pair. Anything else he had already had me beat.
And that hand might want to just check.
Exactly. That's another thing.
Possible.
Given the action that's taken place so far, a lot of people might prudently decide, let me just be cautious and check back. Now I'm happy to make top pair and let me show it down, Brent could check raise my face off here. We still have a lot of stacks behind.
Yeah, if you're gonna bet a king there, you have to bet call off.
Yeah. Plus you might think it's hard to get called by worse. Like maybe you're targeting a jack, I guess, in my range if you do that. And fair enough. Like I don't know what I would do. Depending on the moment or my opponent or exactly game flow. Sometimes I might bet a top pair in his shoes. Sometimes I might check it back. I don't know. But anyway, I did decide to check call basically, unless he like surprised me with an all-in or something insane. And yeah, he bet 750, which was slightly over pot. The pot was 710. And
good size bet.
And I called and he mucked. So that was a fun one because like similar to the other hand, it's almost like it could be seen as like overplaying our hand, but we're kind of like played it in such a way where we got someone to spaz off. And instead of just in multi-way playing middle pair very carefully, let's check, try to get to showdown, make sure we play pot control. Like I was more interested in denying the equity and going for some thin value / setting up a possible triple barrel to get a jack to fold depending on the card. That would have been a rare.
This is sick because
option, but
this is sick because if you lose on the river, you're probably going to be folding quite a bit because it'll probably have made his flush pretty often. And when he misses, you're going to be picking him off quite a bit. I mean, it seems like you're going to be playing close to perfect on the river. I mean, and that's this hand is nuts. Wow. I mean, I'm glad I picked number 2. I mean, I was off the top of my head thinking about overbetting the turn and thinking, now hearing what happened, it's like, holy shit. I mean, this would have never happened if you had overbet the turn. Now, if you had overbet the turn, I still, like, now I know. I mean, now you're playing the hand in the direction of turning it into a bluff, which you weren't really trying to do. I mean, if you overbet turn, it kind of functions as value and as a bluff even if you're up against, like, pocket 9s or something. I mean, hell, you can at least get rid of that hand. I mean...
And there's some strong draws that can call an overbet on the turn in position, so you could get sick value that way, yeah.
I mean, look, if the guy is going to bluff, though, I mean, then your play is definitely the best. And speaking of hands, betting in spots where your hand is functioning as value and as a bluff, that's what a merge is, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, I think so.
That sounds smart.
It seems like it. I mean, even in the first hand with the king 9, where it was 9-6-4 deuce, or 9-6-4 on the flop, she check raises, a call, you 3-bet the flop. I mean, you're getting value from the draws, and you could be bluffing potentially an ace-9. I mean, I don't think there's any other value hand that can beat you besides maybe that one. And look, if you get her to fold queen-9 or jack-9, I mean, all right, well, whatever. You're still getting money from the draws, and she might not have lost that much more money anyway, unless she's not going to put a lot more money in unless she gets her 3-outer. I mean, you may only, it's like, yeah, you don't want to blow her off 3 out so you get more value, but there may not have been more value to get.
Yeah, exactly. And in that other hand, there's still, the strongest incentive is versus the other guy who's already bet the turn, and we want him to either commit the rest of his stack or fold away his equity, is really the main reason to jam that hand on the turn. Again, backtracking to the previous hand. But yeah, this one was kind of fun. This is kind of a weird line, often the hands that you record, or for me anyways, the most interesting ones to talk about are the ones where I knowingly did something weird that like made it go in this weird direction that now made the hand way more interesting than just a bunch of standard stuff. So, and I like to believe these small bets of mine are reasonably balanced. Like I would often make small bets anyway with some nutted hands in multi-way pots where I can be happy about getting raised, So maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's nothing like sizing tell wise about me going small here in this hand that, I mean, maybe my opponent thought so, which is why he raised me and then bet the river. He was trying to exploit this sizing tell maybe in his mind.
Are you doing this with aces?
Potentially.
I mean, because if you are, then it's not going to be able to get exploited. Then it's going to be very hard to play against, yeah.
Yeah, plus some sets, I think, probably. Aces and some sets, yeah.
That's a crazy hand. I look for these spots in 2-5, and they do come up fairly often. Not what just happened in this 5-10 hand. Just situations where I'm betting my hand for value and as a bluff on the flop and the turn, and then maybe just bluffing big on the river, just to make sure I win. Because sometimes this happens once in a while too. Like I'll be at the river, a pocket have like $500 in it. I have a hand that's going to win very often at Showdown, but it's not going to win every time. But the hand it will lose to is not going to want to see another huge bet.
Yeah.
So I'm blasting just to clear out that hand, and it's going to make all the other worse hands fold. All right, fine. So they fold, and occasionally he folds a better hand, and I never have to show my hand, and it's just not putting myself in any danger because I'm not being trapped here. I'm never betting into a brick wall when I have all this showdown value. It's just getting that little extra edge, because this is what happens is when you're playing against soft players. I mean, you can do all kinds of creative, extra, outside-the-box things.
Exactly. Too many pot control, trying to get to showdown lines with like medium strength hands and multi-way pots, I think, from good players who are foregoing opportunities to do more creative stuff like you were just talking about. And one of the cool things about betting these hands in mergey fashion prior, on the early streets is like you're sort of like building the game tree such that you can take this in any direction you want on the river. Like you can decide, okay, I now might think my opponent's range is such and I'm uncapped reasonably in order to turn this hand into a triple barrel bluff. Or you can go the other way and say, well, okay, now I think my opponent got here with a lot of missed air, so now I can bluff catch. Like you've told a story that can go in any direction, and I really am a fan of those kinds of opportunities when you can. But I want to emphasize how lucky I got in this hand, like with that river card. Yeah, maybe my opponent saw it as a good bluffing card because it was like an over, but it missed every draw like we were talking about. So I would have had a tough decision on a lot of river cards, and sometimes I might call off with worse when he got there. Sometimes I'd get bluffed out on, when the diamonds got there, but really he had a straight draw, and
it can happen.
Just gets me to fold. So I got lucky taking this line that he missed everything. I mean, so many bad river cards, but...
Well, look, to win a big pot, of course something has to break your way. I mean, but things are supposed to break your way. It's just math. It's going to break your way plenty of times, and when you play the spot, when you size up everything well, you're going to get these kinds of results. I mean, I agree with what you said, though, about players who maybe they come up in poker and they're a little bit too much like robots and sheep, thinking they're supposed to do... They're trying to like imitate these solver ideas and don't touch any of that other stuff. It's too dangerous. It's in theory it doesn't make any sense, but we're not playing in theory. We're playing people. So, I mean, the very best live players are the ones playing live poker, not playing some mimic, copycat solver game. It doesn't work. None of us in our little pea brains will ever be able to replicate what a solver is doing. Don't even try. So it has plenty of great ideas. There's plenty of tools, and it gives you a solid baseline in plenty of situations, but you're supposed to deviate from this quite often as well.
Well said. No notes.
Thank you, Brent.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've validated my closing thoughts, because it's time for you to leave now. I don't want to talk to you anymore. But thanks a lot for coming in again.
Hey, you remember how Jerry Springer would have his final thoughts? Did you ever watch?
Oh yes. Yeah, would never miss an episode.
That's now how I'm going to envision this segment here.
We're very thankful in this fine studio that you came in and shared this kind of a shocking story, crazy story, hilarious story, and then plus how it affected me later that day and into the next day. But fuck me.
Yeah, I'm glad we could work together there as a team to get the picture and put the word out. So
yeah, pay close attention, everybody. There are more and more people out there, especially in today's world, trying to pull shit like this. So just keep your eyes open, be careful, and I got plenty of other hands to talk about, but God, I've just been so doggone busy that I haven't said anything about them yet. But I'll do my best to get to you as soon as possible, if not too bad. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.